Welcome to Staffworks Explain. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. In this video, we'll be talking about Kenya's extension of SGR to Malaba and the Uganda desire to link with Tanzania SGR. Here, we'll examine Uganda's emerging plan to link its planned SGR to Tanzania, a move aimed at reducing reliance on the Kenya's corridor and reshaping regional trade routes. We'll analyze the strategic, financial, geopolitical implication of this shift and what it means for the future of Kenya's Uganda SGR extension and East Africa transport balance. Uganda is once again signaling that it wants options. With a new plan to link its planned SGR towards or southwards into Tanzania, Kampala is making it clear that reliance on the Kenyan corridor along its main artery to the sea is no longer viewed as sufficient for the country's trade, minerals, and future oil exports. The proposal, revealed in a recently published Ugandan government planning document and reported by Reuters, outlines a railway connection from western Uganda into Tanzania, rapidly expanding SGR, opening a new direct route to the port of Dar es Salaam. It is a strategic shift with deep implication, not just for Uganda, but for Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and DRC, the eastern part. It's a route born out of frustration. For more than a decade, Uganda's infrastructure plans has been tied to Kenya's SGR or Kenyan route, which currently runs from Mombasa through Nairobi to Naivasha, where it terminates. The original vision was straightforward: extend the line from Naivasha or Suswa to Malaba, then onwards to Kampala, and eventually to the mineral-rich west. That extension has not been realized yet. Kenya completed its SGR to Naivasha in 2019, but progress stalled thereafter. On the Ugandan side, preparatory works were undertaken, alignments identified, and land safeguarded, that is. Yet, financing never materialized. China, which funded the Kenya SGR in phases, declined to advance further loans to Kenya, citing a weak business case if Uganda side was not guaranteed. A technical assessment that projected cargo volumes would not generate enough revenue to service the additional debt. In project management terms, this was a classic feasibility problem: high capital cost, uncertainty, freight demand, and insufficient guarantees of return. Uganda, meanwhile, has watched Tanzania push ahead aggressively. The southern route and how that route, which is new, works for Uganda. Under the new proposal, Uganda Railway would run southwest from Kampala towards Kasese and then to Tanzania to link with Tanzania SGR network near Mwanza or Tabora. That would be established. Tanzania SGR is no longer theoretical. More than 1,200 kilometers are either operational or under construction, with electric trains already running between Dar es Salaam, Morogoro, and Dodoma. Unlike Kenya SGR, which stops at Suswa, Tanzania line is explicitly designed for regional integration, with spur planned towards Rwanda, Burundi, and now Uganda. For logistics perspective, this gives Uganda corridor where downstream infrastructure risk is lower: the port, the railway, and also the financing structure that are already or largely in place. Then the document that outlines what is going to happen, which we call a diplomatic signal. The plan serviced in an official Ugandan infrastructure strategic document. This was not a political speech. That matters. Such documents typically consolidate interministerial positions and are subjected to physical scrutiny before publication. Its timing, however, is striking. President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda recently visited Tanzania, holding talks with President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, where they focus on trade, energy, and transport cooperation. While neither government has publicly linked the visit to the rail proposal, large cross-border projects rarely emerge in isolation. In East Africa, infrastructure diplomacy often precedes public announcement. The same pattern was seen elsewhere with the oil. Echoes of the oil pipeline decision. Uganda's decision to export crude oil via Tanzania through the East African Crude Oil Pipeline (EACOP) to the Tanzania port of Tanga followed years of debate over Kenya's route to Lamu. Ultimately, Uganda chose Tanzania, citing terrain cost, security, and financing consideration. That choice reduced Kenya's role in one of the region's most valuable energy projects. The rail pivot now raises an uncomfortable question for Nairobi. Is this happening again? Geopolitics, not just steals and sleepers. Infrastructure in East Africa is not only about transport efficiency, it is also about leverage. Kenya's northern corridor, running from Mombasa through Nairobi, Nakuru, Malaba, and Uganda, and also goes to Rwanda and Eastern Corridor, has historically given Nairobi geopolitical weight. Transit fees, logistic services, port revenues, all these reinforce that position. Uganda's diversification strategy dilutes this leverage. For landlocked countries, redundancy is power. Multiple corridors reduce exposure to political disputes, congestions, labor unrest, political shifts, or any single transit state. For that lens, Uganda moves its rotational risk management. Now, let's focus to Rwanda and Eastern DRC. For Rwanda and Eastern DRC, the calculation is pragmatic rather than political. Cargo owners will choose routes based on three variables. One is cost, reliability, and also time. If Tanzania SGR offers faster clearance at Dar es Salaam, fewer border delays, and predictable tariffs, it will attract freight, regardless of historical loyalties. If Kenya modernizing Mombasa operations completes missing SGR links and reduces dwell time, the northern corridor will remain competitive. This is not a zero-sum game, but it is a contest. What's the fate of Kenya-Uganda SGR extension? Uganda's Tanzania option does not formally cancel the Kenya extension, but it weakens its urgency. From a financing standpoint, it becomes harder to justify borrowings of billions for a second rail outlet where one viable corridor is already secured. From a sequencing perspective, Uganda may prioritize routes that unlock minerals export from the west, where copper, cobalt, iron ore deposits are attracting investor interest. In project terms, the Kenya extension risks being overtaken by events if it's not expedited. What Kenya should do, and quickly. Kenya's response does not lie in rhetoric, it lies in delivery. First, Nairobi must confront the business case issue head-on. Realistic freight focused, transparent tariff structures, and integration with public logistics operators. Second, gap between Suswa or Naivasha and Malaba must be addressed, whether through phased construction, public-private partnership, or hybrid gauge solutions that reduce upfront cost. Third, port efficiency at Mombasa must continue to improve. Railway are only as competitive as the terminals they serve. So if Mombasa port does not improve on efficiency, it risks losing to Dar es Salaam and the new line that to be developed between Uganda and Tanzania. Above all, Kenya needs to recognize that regional infrastructure leadership is no longer assumed, it must be earned. We call this a quiet but consequential shift. Uganda's rail turn towards Tanzania is not a dramatic break with Kenya. It is more subtle and more consequential. It reflects government applying lessons from the past projects, diversifying routes, follow financing realities, and aligning infrastructure with the export strategy. It also reflects a region where competition, not sentiment, increasingly shape connectivity. For Kenya's SGR dream beyond Suswa or Naivasha, the message is stuck. The window has not closed, but it is closing very soon. So thank you for reaching this far. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. You can also hit the notification bell so that whenever you upload a new video, you are notified. Thank you.